Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrea Grilletto, Director of Assorestauro. Welcome to the presentation of the Restoration Week 2021. I love to imagine the Restoration Week as an open window on the Italian restoration sector. It is a window open for all the professionals, all the industries, all the customers, all the owners all around the world on the Italian restoration area. When we are talking about restoration in Italy and worldwide, we are talking about an heterogeneous and organic orchestra of professionals, companies, experts, universities, training centers, research centers, working and cooperating for the adaptive reuse and preservation of existing heritage, existing building, and our cultural heritage and history. Restoration Week is in Italian we say Settimana del Restauro, is the yearly meeting where we want to talk about restoration between experts, to the experts, Italian experts and foreign experts worldwide. It is the creation of a dialogue on the challenges that restoration is facing in our time. Restoration Week is promoted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and organized by the Italian Trade Agency in Rome, supported by all the offices of the Italian Trade Agency worldwide and by all the embassies worldwide. I want to introduce you first the reference of our sector in Rome. Roberto Lovato is the director of the industrial partnership, and he is our reference in Rome for the Italian Trade Agency. Assorestauro, on behalf of the Italian Trade Agency and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is the organizer, the promoter of the Restoration Week. Assorestauro is the connection between our government and the private companies working in the sector of restoration. Roberto Lovato.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues from offices around the world. It is a great pleasure for me to bring greetings from Italian Trade Agency at this press conference on behalf of the General Director, Mr. Roberto Luongo, who unfortunately cannot attend today. The initiative presented today is part of the Restoration Made in Italy project that Italian Trade Agency promotes together with Salone del Restauro, Fiera Ferrara, and as a trade fair partner of international significance, and with Assorestauro as a trade association that brings together companies in the sector of restoration and promotes their interest in international markets, The restoration sector is assuming increasing importance worldwide with the growing awareness of the importance of the protection and conservation of historical and architectural heritage as fundamental elements of cultural and tourist promotion. In this sense, Italy, with its unique historical heritage in the world and the technical skills gained by its companies in the context of conservation, offer itself worldwide as a partner to all institutions that deals with the protection of historical and cultural heritage. It is a path that we have already started in recent years together with Ferrara Fiera and Assorestauro, with the organization of 2 editions of Restoration Week, organizing 2 tours of visit to historic sites and restoration sites in the north and center of Italy. The latest edition in particular, held in September 2020, was held in the hybrid mode due to the limitation imposed by the international COVID crisis. A limited group of international experts in the sector visited some construction sites located in the place hit by the earthquake in central Italy, exactly L'Aquila and Amatrice, to be precise, and then abandoned and recovered inhabited center to be used for a receptive structure of widespread hospitality in Santo Stefano di Sessanio, and historic civil and religious building undergoing restoration in the city of Rome. The visit and the construction sites and the conference organized for delegation in presence were broadcasted in streaming mode so that experts and economic operators from all over the world could participate in the activities that were carried out. I want to provide some numbers related to this latest edition made in hybrid mode. 5 days in 5 different locations, 300 daily virtual visitors, of which 150 experts invited by the network of Italian trade agency offices, 24 linked countries, 150 connected sector operators and admirers to follow the visit online. 30 hours of technical contents and interview. 4 thematic roundtables attended by 40 Italian companies and about 100 foreign experts interested in creating new partnership and projects. For the next edition, we plan to organize in the same way a delegation of dealers and experts who will visit sites in southern Italy, Naples, Pompeii, and Matera and Bari, where the restoration exhibitions will take place. All visits and events will be broadcasted in streaming mode, so that dealers and experts from all over the world have the opportunity to participate. All this, obviously, in the hope that we can soon return to freely visit historical sites around the world and to meet each other at the international fair. I once again thanks all the participants in this press conference. I give everyone an appointment in person or remotely at the next edition of Restoration Week and Salone del Restauro next May in Bari. See you there. And now I ask to launch the promotional video of Restoration Made in Italy project. Thank you very much.
The effect of greatness upon our feelings sometimes overlooks the joy to roam among the energies of the history that surrounds us. Everyone has a purpose, something to achieve, somewhere to go, a place to belong to. However, sometimes the best part of a journey is getting lost. Allow yourself the time to take the lesser traveled route and let your passion take over. Let yourself be surprised by the unexpected. History is everywhere. How can you think about life without it? Sometimes I ask myself, what's beyond the surface? Everything I've undiscovered from the past makes me conscious of our future. We are all part of a synchronized process, cooperating together to achieve the common goal, to design the final vision. A perfect balance between history and technology contributes to the optimal preservation of our heritage and leads it into the future. Tradition has defined rules, while our modern industrial supply chains become stronger, boosting our approach and proficiency. All this heritage value surrounds us, even where you don't expect it. Be curious. You'll discover a new knowledge that will help you to grow. Eventually, I peeled back the history beyond the surface, other lives, other journeys. My work is not finished yet. There's a huge heritage to look after, to carve in memory, and to preserve for next generations. This is who I am, what I stand for. This is my profession.
As Roberto Lovato was mentioning, Restoration Week is part of a wider project promoted by the Ministry for Foreign Affairs, the Italian Ministry for Foreign Affairs, and organized by the Italian Trade Agency and promoted by the Italian Trade Agency. This project is called Restauro Made in Italy. It is the first time in which the restoration sector is promoted in a well-organized promotional system of the Italian Made in Italy. Every one of us remember, if we talk about Made in Italy, we are remembering fashion, design, food. Now restoration is among those big sectors as a strategic export of Italy. The Restauro Made in Italy project is based on two subjects. Assorestauro is the National Association of Companies, and let me introduce you Silvia Paparella, CEO of Ferrara Fiera Congressi, which is the second leg of this project, the Italian exhibition on the restoration sector, Salone del Restauro. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is giving to these two subjects, the National Association and the National Italian Exhibition of Restoration, the honor and the duty to support the export of our sector. every year in Italy, there is a place where we talk about restoration, and this place is Salone del Restauro. Silvia.
Thank you very much, Director Grilletto. I'm really honored to be here and to open together with you this important table and this important project. Restoration and Cultural Business International Trade Show with the project Restoration in Tour this year stops from the 26th to the 28th of May at Nuova Fiera del Levante in Bari, in the south of Italy, with the support of an innovative digital platform as part of a large, lively, proactive project capable of generating value, knowledge, development, and representing a real and the real engine for the restoration system, community, and companies. There are two main themes that will animate the 3 days of the event. The first is the role of restoration in the ecological transition, and the second one is the great restoration sites. But we will also talk about a lot of items, a lot of topics. For example, the restoration of artistic and historical assets, products, restoration materials, equipment, diagnostics, tools, but also technologies, reconstruction, sustainability, innovation, research, cultural tourism, museum, best practices, and excellencies. The conference will be organized by the work of an authoritative scientific committee with the management of the steering committee chaired by Professor Alessandro Ippoliti, Director of the Department of Architecture University in Ferrara, assisted by Giovanni Carbonara, Professor Emeritus of Restoration at Sapienza, University of Rome. A committee which I'm honored to be part of, together with Alessandro Bozzetti, President of the Association Assorestauro. The Ministry of Cultural Heritage this year, as in all the previous editions, will represent an essential pillar of what is going to become an extraordinary, rich edition of the Restoration and Cultural Business International Trade Show. This event will be in presence, will be live in Bari, in Nuova Fiera del Levante, but this year's edition will be really, really special because it will be a blended edition. Live, as I said, but also accompanied by a perfectly integrated digital innovative platform that will allow companies, but also professionals, researchers, administrations, and international buyers to continue to meet and grow together. During some particular moments, conferences, meetings, workshops, live, but also in streaming. It is a permanent platform, open 24 hours a day and 7 days per week, and usable from every corner of the planet that will host experts 365 days a year. The platform specifically will contain an informative point for the management of all the guests, all the connected guests, a social cafe where you can meet and exchange information, ideas, projects, but also opportunities. The exhibition rooms of the companies that will contain the knowledge, the know-how, the expertise, the excellencies of the companies. Conference rooms that will work almost continuously. And of course, thanks to the organization, but also the economic support of the ICE agency, of the Agency for the Internationalization of Italian Companies, for the promotion abroad, the internationalization of those, an exclusive meeting space for the bilateral meetings between the companies themselves and the international buyers directly connected. Thank you very much, and see you in Bari at the Nuova Fiera del Levante from the 26th to the 28th of May for the Restoration and Cultural Business International Trade Show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Silvia. We are together in this new challenge. All the world is fighting now against a microscopic enemy, and we will surely win the fight. But pandemic is also giving us an important opportunity. Digital transition is this opportunity, and as Silvia was saying, this year we are continuing with the Restoration Week, and for the first time with the Restauro exhibition with a blended edition in presence and digital. The digital transition is a very important way of widen our listeners, our friends, our cooperations. But Be in Italy, of course, will be for the future mandatory. We want to be together because the emotion of being here together or making business together is the way we want to go on. So for the future, probably the blended edition will be the rule, but the presence will be hopefully for the next year mandatory also. So I want to come back to the Restoration Week. I said that Restoration Week is the place where we talk about restoration. We want to establish a common dialogue, a common language on restoration in Italy and worldwide. Every country has its peculiar way of approaching to its cultural heritage, but when we are talking about cultural heritage, we are talking about a good of the humanity. So we have to find a way of talking the same language, and that's the place where we are learning together these languages. It's not the Italian languages, it's not the English one, it's not the Russian, but it's an international code of communication. The approach to the restoration of cultural heritage and existing building in general. We want to give you the voice of some of the participants of the last year edition of the Restoration Week. This year, as in September, we have decided just to invite in presence delegates of important international players in the field of restoration: World Bank, World Monument Fund, European Community. There was last year the investments and social banks. I want to introduce you Alessandra Peruzzetto, World Monument Fund. She was with us last year. Alessandra, nice to see you again.
Ciao, nice to see you again. And thank you for inviting me for this occasion. And first of all, I introduce myself quickly. I'm Alessandra Peruzzetto. I work for the War Monuments Fund, and particularly I'm the program regional representative, regional director for the Near East and the North Africa. War Monuments Fund is a non-governmental and non-profit organization that dedicated to the safeguarding of significant cultural places around the world. And we do this through conservation project, awareness and advocacy programs, reinforcement of capacity of local professionals through training courses and other activities of the kind. I had the pleasure to participate to the last year Restoration Week, and it was really, and I hope to have the opportunity also in the future. It was really an interesting and intense and enjoyable week. And I have to say that I particularly enjoy to enter inside the program and inside the art of the different projects that were presented, because this one gave really the opportunity to understand the process of how the projects are developed and the approaches that are taken by the different professionals that we met in this occasion. And it was also an opportunity of exchanges and discussions with other professionals, of technical discussion and of exchanges and reinforcing our relations. From a WMF point of view, it was also for us an important occasion of reinforcing relations with organizations that we were in contact we work in the past, as for example, also a way also to put the basis for new synergies with other organizations like the Italian Trading Agency, the Italian Cooperation in the world, in the different embassies and in the headquarters, and through the headquarters later in the different embassies, and especially with Assorestauro. In fact, we hope that this one will be an opportunity of future exchanges in expertise on best practice and technical innovation about conservation in conservation, new material that are used or developed in Italy, techniques that are developed and that can be exported with in our réseau of professionals and in our projects. And it was also an important, I think, occasion for the participants, especially from around the world, to be together and to exchange for this one and to create relations with other professionals from other countries, and also a really good full immersion of the Italian expertise and of the Italian culture. This culture that was tangible and intangible Italian heritage. So this one was my experience was really positive, and I hope. And after the end of the Restoration Week, when the video have been put online, I passed them to various colleagues in different occasions, because even if some of the project cannot be repeated exactly around the world, they were really a good example of methodological approach that could be really that can really. How can I say, learned by other professionals in the field.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Alessandra. Andrea. Really nice to see you again. And last year edition of the Restoration Week had a mood, a keyword, synergy. It is very, very important to us, for us to start playing an international role in the restoration sector. And it is, there are very different players around the world which are playing an important role in the restoration sector worldwide. It is very, very important for us to create a synergy, a communication, a dialogue among all these players around the world, World Monument Fund, World Bank, the investment banks, the countries, the governments which are using cultural heritage as a driver for increasing, enhancing their economical capacities, tourism, cultural tourism, and so on. Cultural tourism and the cultural industries are an important part of the economy of every country worldwide, and a lot of countries are starting to use the cultural heritage industry for increasing their economy. Italy is working on that field since a lot of time, and so we can say we are experts in that. The restoration industry is the backstage of all the cultural industry, is the backstage of every historical existing building, the use of every building, because there is no possibility of using a building without restoration or maintenance, and that's our job. Another important witnesses of the participation to the Restoration Week, Andrea Dall'Olio, World Bank, lead country economist and program leader for Afghanistan. This is his new role in the organization, and he was with us in September during the Restoration Week 2020. Andrea.
So thank you very much, Andrea, for the nice introduction. Let me first express my gratitude to the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to the Italian Trade Agency, and to Assorestauro for allowing me to attend the Restoration Week 2020, and to spend a wonderful week with experts from all over the world visiting and experiencing the richness of architectural beauties preserved around central Italy. Well, I attend the Restoration Week as an individual participant, but also representing the institution I work for, which is the World Bank, in its role of supporting governments around the world to fully valorize their cultural and architectural assets. So I wanted to share with you a couple of reflections from my attendance. Well, first, a key learning I took away from Restoration Week is that in order to fully leverage the assets that each country has, one requires to bring together various actors. And clearly you have the public sector, and we all acknowledge the role of the public sector as we have seen in L'Aquila or in the areas devastated by the earthquake. But the private sector can also play a pivotal role. And during Restoration Week, we have seen it, for example, in the Basilica of Colle Maggio, which benefit from a private sector player, which acted not only as a financier for the restoration after the earthquake, but also to manage a complex procurement process to achieve a timely but also very cost-effective result. And there is also a role for intermediary actors like the World Monument Fund, but also organizations like the one I work for, the World Bank, and other international organizations, to bring capacity and to coordinate the various actors. And this really brings the concept of synergies. When all the synergies are exploited between private, public, and international intermediary actors, the result really can be amazing. Second, I think what came out of Restoration Week 2020 is also the richness of skills that the restoration sector in Italy can avail itself of. And Assorestauro knows it very well, since most of the companies active in the restoration markets are members of the association, but not necessarily this network of companies are so commonly known. And this value chain can be very important for a country like Italy, since these companies of various sizes represent a value chain which delivers jobs in Italy and abroad. And especially given many of these companies are very specialized, they need to be given enough visibility, and they need to be supported in identifying opportunities to export their skills abroad. And this is like a key role that an organization like the Italian Trade Agency can play, and more can even be done to make sure that these Italian excellences can really fulfill its potential. And so I just wanted to close this small remark by thanking you again and wishing you good luck in organizing another successful event this year.
Thank you very much, Andrea. It's a pleasure to see you again. Another partner of Assorestauro. United States are a big country, but when we think about, in Italy, when we think about United States, we are not making a direct connection between the country and the word restoration. This is not true. One of the main partners of Assorestauro since 2016 is the American Association for Preservation Technologies, or better, the Association for Preservation Technologies International, which is a group of friends. We have cooperated with them since 2016. We are participating to the annual conference of the APTI in the United States, and the APTI members are participating to the Italian exhibition, Restauro exhibition, and to the Restoration Week every year since 2016. In 2019, Assorestauro has, during the Restoration Week, the first edition of the Restoration Week, we have launched the Association for Preservation Technologies Europe. Then the pandemic has stopped for a period our activities, but we are planning to revitalize the activity of the Association for Preservation Technologies Europe with the help of the American Association for Preservation Technologies. Jeff Green was with us last year, and he has participated to the Restoration Week on behalf of the American Association for Preservation Technologies. Jeff.
I wanted to speak about my participation in Assorestauro's Restoration Week last fall, where we traveled to a number of sites. It was a wonderful gathering with a group of international experts from all over, wonderful camaraderie and exchange of knowledge and information. We visited numerous sites and looked firsthand at restoration work, both in the field, both on a grand scale, looking at its social policy and impact, and also on a more technical level with material culture on a micro scale, dealing with materials and craftsmanship and conservation. Of course, Italy has a wealth of cultural heritage, but it was a bit of a revelation to me. And the whole world goes to Italy to learn about conservation and to look at their built environment. But there's also an intangible quality, which is the preservation of that knowledge and its exportation to the entire world, which was a revelation to me at this conference, that both the social and economic impact that the exporting the knowledge of how to preserve this patrimony to the entire world. So it's a phenomenal conference. It's a wonderful organization. I was a representative of the APTI, Association for Preservation Technology here in the US, which there's a new European chapter, and Assorestauro are members, and we're very complementary organizations because we support each other and spread the word and get the information out to all the people who work in our sector, in our field. So I commend Assorestauro for their work and hope to continue to participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. It's a pleasure to see you here with us. So let's go to the final part of this presentation. What is Restoration Week? We said Restoration Week is the place where we can talk about Restoration Week with all the words. It is not an unidirectional way of talking about restoration, but it is a dialogue among restoration with all the countries, with all the different habits, with all the different methodologies. We want to share our methodologies and our approach, but we are open to listen and to create a dialogue. Restoration Week wants to be a business opportunity for creating cooperation, joint ventures, partnerships, or whatever in the restoration field all over the world. Foreign companies are starting to come to Italy and work in the Restoration Week, in the restoration field. So Assorestauro is your window on the Italian industry of restoration. Whatever you need, just write to Assorestauro and we can answer professionally and answer to your needs. So the Restoration 2021 is a blended live streaming event. We are inviting, as I said, around 10-15 delegates from all over the world, parts of the international players working in the field of restoration, as it happens in 2020. Storytelling of the Italian restoration within the restoration work sites, a path which is starting from Naples to Pompeii, then in Bari, where we are now, and finally to Matera, which was in the capital of culture last year. 15 delegates invited. I hope thousands connected in streaming and with the possibility of communicating and talking with the Italian experts and among the international experts. The targets of the Restoration Week. The Restoration Week is promoted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Italian Trade Agency. So we are talking about restoration, culture, but we are talking about business. We want to create connection among professionals, companies to work together and to increase their businesses in Italy and worldwide. The targets are architects, engineers, administrative officials, superintendencies, ministries of culture, restorers and restoration and redevelopment companies of existing building, not only historical building, professors, researchers, universities, restoration and architectural, commercial officers, companies, whoever is in touch with restoration is invited to take part to the Restoration Week, take our experience and give his own competencies and experiences in the restoration field. Some images of the last year edition of the Restoration Week. Here we are in L'Aquila and in Amatrice, the two areas which was hit by tremendous earthquakes in 2009, L'Aquila, and in 2016, the central Italy. Amatrice is the city symbol of this earthquake. This year we are talking about different topics, but we also try to have a connection with the last editions of the Restoration Week. This year we are starting from Naples, and the general topic we are dealing with is the complexity of architectural preservation, from historical centers to suburbs, but I would say from conservation to adaptive reuse. It is important to understand that there is no value that is creating the need of restoration. We are not restoring an object considering or evaluating his historical value, his historical rule. We are restoring existing objects because they are part of our lives. And so, there is no matter if it is in the historical center or in the suburb, we are talking about restoration of our surroundings, of our lives. This is Naples. We are visiting 3 specific world sites. You can follow us and we will give you more details about all the visits and all the topics that we are developing. The second day of the Restoration Week will be in Pompeii. The archaeological park of Pompeii is the most important, economically, archaeological park that we have in Italy, with the higher turnover from the visitors, from the sponsorship or grants that they get. We are talking about not only the restoration of archaeology, but the valorization and the enhancement of the historical value, and so the use of its economical values. We will be inside 2 specific work sites within the archaeological park, the Villa of Diomede and the Insula dei Casti Amanti. Those are some images of the place we are going to visit. The Restoration Week has a strict connection with the Salone del Restauro, as Silvia was mentioning before. The 2 conferences in the central days of the Restoration Week, the 3rd and the 4th, will be dedicated to the rule of restoration in the ecological transition promoted by Assorestauro and the Green Building Council Italy. Green Building Council Italy is developed in the last few years the unique protocol related specifically on historical buildings. And Green Building Council Italy and Assorestauro, together with the Salone del Restauro, is working together to promote the internationalization of this protocol, and we are working specifically also with the Association for Preservation Technologies International. The second main topic of our conferences will be the great preservation opportunities. What's the meaning of this title that we have decided to use? In the last years, earthquakes, environmental tragedies have created disasters on the cultural heritage set in our lives. But those events have also created the opportunity of having wide restoration work sites to recreate and to reinvent and to give a function to entire areas. Restoration is playing an important role in these decisions because the habits of people working in restoration is first to know the existing buildings, the existing situation, and then take decision on how to revitalize, recreate, adaptive reuse, whatever. And so we think that our way of working will be important in the future to solve this kind of situations. The last day of the Restoration Week will be in Matera. In that case, a big restoration opportunity created by the rule of Matera as capital of culture. So we are going to visit the results of being Matera the capital of culture in 2019. And we will see the Rupestриan churches and the Iazzo Gattini archaeological path, hidden treasures of Matera. We are going to the end. I want just to say you hello and to, or better, to say see you very soon. Over my feet, you can read the link for registering on our mailing list. Please do the registration so you can be updated and you will receive the invitation for participating to the Restoration Week. I want to say hello with the presentation of an important video for the first time internationally, the promotional video of the Restoration Week. So, before launching the video, see you very soon. Follow us on our websites and see you in Italy in presence or digitally. Thank you very much.
One's destination is never a place, but rather a new way of looking at things.
Restoration Week is something more than an average week. Restoration Week is an immersive, a welcoming, an exciting, a breathtaking, an extraordinary journey.
During Restoration Week, I've experienced firsthand the resilience of local communities, the attention to the best preservation technologies.
I saw how they were able to find new ways to revitalize communities in perfect harmony with culture and history, with sensitive interventions to the built heritage.
During Restoration Week, I've realized how important the small details are, but only if they are part of something more holistic.
A global project managed by wise hands. I've traveled not just from one place to another. I've traveled in time, going back through layers of history. I've imagined how our tomorrow will be.
During Restoration Week, I've learned to see the world from a different perspective, with new eyes, full of wonder, and with all my senses.
I've learned that everything is possible.
Because when you bring knowledge,
technology,
and passion together,
you welcome the future.
Bienvenidos a la semana de la restauración. Bienvenue à la semaine de la restauration. يلا نبدأ أسبوع الحفاظ.
Welcome to Restoration.
Benvenuti alla settimana del restauro.
I do not make this extraordinary tour for the sake of deceiving myself, but to become acquainted with myself by means of these objects.